Some vehicles are reconverted in unexpected ways. Here's a look at France's favourite cars.
They're placed more towards the outside, you see. Okay, so we're keeping in the spirit.
Jeremy and Patrice are referring to the spirit of the Renault 4 or the 4L. In this garage, the mythical car is undergoing a little facelift on the occasion of its 50th anniversary.
To celebrate the 4L's birthday, we decided to customize one. Using a concept called old to new. So we take an old car, we add new technologies and give it more power. We've used a Clio V6 as a base and then added the 4L. We are really in keeping with the era.
They're making these changes so they can take part in one of the world's most prestigious rallies, the Gumball, which leaves London on the 25th of May and travels 5,000 kilometres across Europe, ending 7 days later in Istanbul. Jeremy and Patrice are the only French team participating, so they've chosen an emblematic car.
We take part in the Gumball every year, and each time we try and use a slightly quirky car. This time, we should be doing it in the 4L. Everyone had one, and it made a deep impression.
A few more alterations need to be made, and then the 4L GT will be ready to parade through Paris, Barcelona, Venice, and also Belgrade. Vintage French cars are very popular nowadays, and rather than exhibiting them in museums, some have decided to capitalise on them, like this company, which offers visits of Paris in a 2CV.
French people have loved and known this car for years. They stopped making them at the beginning of the 90s, so we don't see very many. They are great to drive because everyone stops in the street to look. They smile at us, and other cars often let us pass.
The idea was launched 3 years ago and was an immediate hit, especially with foreign tourists.
That's fabulous. I used to want to own a Citroën, but...
Oh, you too?
Well, there's no one to fix Citroëns in the United States.
Oh.
And that's really the authentic Paris.
Yeah, definitely.
Citroën and the Eiffel Tower.
Definitely.
Okay? The 2CV at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, the guide wearing a beret. Saint-Fair totally embraces the cliché.
We're just missing the baguette. That's exactly what it is. The old car, the beret. It's a cliché with a Parisian smile.
Although 80% of his clientele are foreigners, the French also like taking a trip down memory lane in this car. So the tour becomes secondary.
About 2 years ago, an elderly woman came with her daughter, who was also of a certain age, and wanted to take a trip in a 2CV. Not to visit Paris, she probably knew Paris better than I did, but she really wanted to go in a 2CV and spend 2 hours driving around Paris in a 2CV.
The 2CV, the 4L, French automobile heritage is alive and well and as enchanting as ever. Military training sessions are very popular right now. See how you can keep fit, commando style.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? Yes! Okay, let's go then.
Enthusiasm above all. This open-air training session is serious stuff. The instructor is a former soldier and everyone is well advised to toe the line.
And 5 more, thanks to Mathieu, because we all had to wait for him. Thank you, Mathieu. No problem, my pleasure.
Welcome to boot camp. This military training adapted for civilians emerged in the US around 10 years ago and is now arriving in France.
The aim of the session is to do a maximum of exercises, put as much energy into it as possible, and really give our bodies a workout. Crawl, crawl, crawl to where I am. Come on!
No time to rest, the training continues at a frantic pace.
Sit up, you're too slow. Stand up, sit down, and lean on your forearms.
And there's no niceties.
You complain, girls. You always say this bit's saggy. Well, we're going to change that.
But although boot camp seems pretty overwhelming, it is adapted to all levels of fitness.
There are easier sessions for beginners, and then we have commando sessions for the more experienced. And that's really intensive, even more so than today's session.
Gilles is now a professional fireman but spent 10 years serving in the army. He was notably a coach in the commandos. He knows a lot about physical exercise and how to adapt it.
This is a commando exercise, but they do it on their stomachs and slide along the cable. To make it simpler and easier here, we're doing it hanging from the cable.
You're nearly there. Well done. Encouragement from others, team spirit, like in the army. In boot camp training, being part of a group helps individual performances.
Come on! Come on! If I hadn't been there, he would have stopped. That's another advantage of group exercises like that. We are motivated by others, and we want to keep up. This is a good example. Come on, follow me. If I can do it, so can you. And so, he surpasses himself. When it's tough, the group sticks together and gets through it. That's what I'm really looking for.
It's better than running, less monotonous, more fun. Both fun and serious. And at boot camp, you go beyond your limits and learn to ignore the pain.
As they say in the Legion, if you're suffering, then you're still alive. So those guys are poets as well, then.